Sixers fans, how we feeling out there? Hey y'all, my name is Lauren Gordon. Some of you may already know me on social media as Lauren Fan of the Year. Others may have just stumbled upon this podcast. But either way, I want to first thank all of you for tuning in to season 2, episode 3 of my very first podcast. I'm just a Sixers fan, the Lauren Fan of the Year story. Now let's continue the story. Y'all, the date is now December 22nd, 2019. And I just walked off the court after ringing the bell. Our Sixers starters were immediately announced. And y'all, I was just steps away from Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, and Josh Richardson. I sat courtside with my family when comedian Buck Wild walked over to me and he said, "I see you. I know who you are, Lauren Fan of the Year." Then he said, "Come on, let's take a photo together," which he shared after the game later that night with a caption that read, "Congratulations, Lauren G, for winning Fan of the Year at the Sixers game. She is the only one who had better floor seats than me. At Christian Crosby and Michael Rubin, I was so jealous. You gave her red carpet treatment. And on behalf of the fans of Philadelphia, I just want to thank you all. She had a beautiful night." I remember hugging him and thinking, oh my goodness, this man smells so good. I don't know what cologne he was wearing, y'all, but dear God, that man smelled good that night. Well, anyway, he was seated right behind me. So he knew, just like he said in his post, that I was having a beautiful night because, y'all, let me tell you, my margarita cup stayed full the entire night. At halftime, my kids and I went to that private room that I spoke about in the last episode where there was more food, more drinks, and music. My kids and I ate again, and we watched a halftime show on the monitors. But y'all, being the real fan that I am, I wanted to make sure I was back in my seat for the start of the third quarter. As much fun as I was having, I still wanted to watch the game and cheer on my guys. Let me tell you, watching a game courtside is quite the experience. Seeing the players that close up, you realize that they are huge. And watching them move up and down the court with such agility, flying through the air is like watching superheroes. And y'all, I was in my zone and I kept thinking, this is totally my vibe. It doesn't get any better than this. And it was definitely a memorable game because we snapped our 3-game losing streak by winning 125-108 over the Washington Wizards. Now let me jar your memory just a little bit. This was the game when Washington Wizards player Isaiah Thomas, not the Detroit Pistons legend Isaiah Thomas, there was a younger Isaiah Thomas who at the time was playing for the Wizards, and actually there's no relation between the two Isaiah Thomases. Well, anyway, he was at the free throw line and he was totally being disrespected by a few Sixers fans. And the Sixers fans, they had up their middle fingers and they were using profanity, and basically they were just trying to distract him so that he'd miss 2 free throws. When Isaiah walked right up to confront them, and they quickly apologized and they said they didn't mean any harm. They were just trying to get a frosty. So just to remind everyone, the frosty freeze out was when an opposing player would be at the free throw line during the second half of the game. If they missed 2 consecutive free throws, all Sixers fans would receive a free Wendy's Frosty the next day. And let me tell you something. Us Sixers fans, we took the Frosty freeze out very serious. Well, it didn't matter because, as y'all know, the league don't play about things like that, especially with harassing the players. So those fans were ejected. But what's crazy is those two guys were seated right next to my kids at the game that night. And it was unfortunate that they got removed from the game because according to my kids, they were actually kind of cool up until that point. I'm sure you've all seen the video. If not, Google keywords Isaiah Thomas, Sixers game, Frosty. It is so funny. As I mentioned, we ended up winning that game. And I was sad when the night was over because the time went by so fast. And y'all, I was feeling good. I wasn't like drunk because I don't really get like that bad. But let's just say I was glad that my son LJ doesn't drink because he was my designated driver that night. I came home to my little apartment with my Fan of the Year award and a Sixers bag full of Sixers swag, including a Joel Embiid cream-colored City Edition jersey. And it was late, but being that I was still on this adrenaline rush, I knew I couldn't just fall asleep. So I went on Facebook and I read all of the positive and supportive comments and posts. And then I made a post that read, "What do you say when thank you just isn't enough? I am overwhelmed. I am humbled. I am honored. Not only did the Sixers organization want me to feel special, they wanted my kids to feel special. And for that, I am extremely grateful. I am sharing my gazillion pictures with all of you. Thank you to all my friends who continue to encourage and support me." And afterwards, I showered, snuggled into bed, wearing my favorite Sixers pajamas, and relived every moment in my mind. And before dozing off into a good sleep, I said, "Thank you, God. Tonight was awesome. I was a VIP, and I felt like Cinderella at the ball." I was overwhelmed by the thoughtfulness and generosity of Alex and the Sixers organization. It was an unforgettable night, and I was grateful for it all. 3 days later was Christmas, and our Sixers played the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I know the holidays are all about family, but my family already knew what my plans were that day. I was going to that game. That was the gift to myself. I told y'all, my Sixers was the one thing that I did for myself that made me happy, and I was unapologetic for it. My family, God bless them, because over the years, they have been flexible and they always considered the Sixers schedule before making any family plans. Now, I know that sounds horrible, but I'm glad I was never forced to make the decision of attending a family function or a Sixers game. Dang, now that does sound pretty messed up. But that's how committed I was to our team. And my family supported me. That Christmas game, we beat the Milwaukee Bucks 121-109. And at the time, we broke an NBA record for the most three-pointers made on Christmas Day in NBA history. After the game, I met up with my family just in time for Christmas dinner at my mom's house and was still able to enjoy the rest of the holiday. Faith, family, food, and a Sixers win over the Bucks. Yes, it was a very Merry Christmas. On New Year's Eve, we lost to the Indiana Pacers 115-97. And my last Sixers post of 2019 read, "I'm sensing frustration with my guys. None of them are being utilized to their fullest potential. Time for a shakeup." Yes, it was clear we had no real leader on our team. Ben and Joel were both the face of the franchise. Who was the real leader? Who was the face of the franchise? Both Ben and Joe were talented. They had different play styles, and at the end of the day, they needed each other to improve their own game. But who was the Batman and who was the Robin? The sole face of the franchise was never identified. This even created a divide amongst the fans. Should the franchise player be Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid? But either way, it didn't matter because neither of the two were true leaders. In all fairness, they were young, still new to the league, finding their own individual way. However, although both were talented, neither of the two possessed real leadership skills. We needed someone who would help galvanize the locker room. Now, the person who did possess these skills, we traded him to Miami. And obviously, I'm referring to Jimmy Butler. So who was going to be the man to step up? Jimmy's replacement, Josh Richardson, tried to be the leader, but hell, he was new to the team. So was Al Horford. So was Seth Curry. Tobias had the veteran presence, but I couldn't see him getting in anyone's face to call them out, especially not Ben or Joel. Our team needed a leader. Happy New Year! On January 1st, 2020, news broke that David Stern, the former NBA commissioner, died at the age of 77. Quick note for y'all in case you didn't know. David Stern is credited for introducing 7 new franchises to the league, and he played a huge part in growing the NBA reach globally. It was the beginning of a new year, and I remember I had a birthday trip to China planned the following month in February. I told y'all in a previous episode that my plan was to spend my 50th birthday walking across the Great Wall of China. It was on my bucket list. Doesn't that sound amazing? Well, anyway, I was beginning to feel a little anxious and a little apprehensive because I began seeing all these videos of this virus that was spreading throughout China. And it was the first time I heard anything about this COVID-19 thing. And it scared the hell out of me. I saw videos of people in hazmat suits wiping down everything. And then hearing that people were dying from this deadly virus. Hell, at this point, I did not want to travel to China or anywhere that far with my daughters and have anything go down. I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I could be helpless or vulnerable, especially with my kids. Thankfully, I was able to cancel my trip. And I was sad that I wouldn't be traveling to China for my birthday, but it was fine because also around this time, I was house hunting. I had told my apartment leasing office that I would go month to month because I was now in the position to buy a house on my own. And this felt good because I was finally moving through my life independently. This was growth, and my life took on a whole new trajectory, and things were really working out for me. And it got to the point where I woke up every morning just expecting to hear good news. On January 6th, we played the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I was able to sit in on a pregame meeting with one of the assistant coaches in the media room. I got to take photos at the press table and even took a few photos with Crystal Rich, who at the time hosted Sixers Outsiders with Tyrone Johnson on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Remember that show used to come on at the end of each Sixers game? Well, anyway, I remember during that game against OKC, that was when Joel dislocated his finger and it was all disjointed and it was bent backwards. Ugh. Google the video of the player's reaction to seeing Embiid's finger like that. Ew. Around this time, My dad told me that we had a cousin who lived in Dallas who worked for the Mavericks, and she had tickets for us to come to a game. Wait, what? Are you serious? How did I not know about this cousin sooner? On January the 11th, my dad, my niece Taylor, and I flew to Dallas. We checked into a really nice Airbnb. We enjoyed the city of Dallas, and then that evening, we went to the American Airlines Center to see our Sixers play the Mavericks. This was now my third road game arena, and for this trip in particular, we had really nice box seats. I just love walking through the concourse at different arenas and just see what makes each arena unique. And I remember American Airlines Center being this cute arena. It was smaller than the Wells Fargo Center. And let me look up the capacity. I think at the Wells Fargo Center for Sixers games, let's see here. I'm seeing conflicting numbers, but it looks like the Wells Fargo Center holds around 21,000 for NBA games. And for the Mavericks games at the American Airlines Center, it's around 19,000 capacity. So it's approximately 2,000 less fans. And I remember the arena being small, but it was cozy, friendly, passionate fans. And let me tell you, they love Dirk Nowitzki out there in Dallas, but obviously not as much as they love those Dallas Cowboys out there. And at the time, I was still waiting for Fansided to send me my $2,500 StubHub gift card because I wanted to book my road games. I was told that there was a delay and I could expect to receive my gift card sometime in March. And I was like, I didn't want to wait, but as long as I receive it by the playoffs, I'm good because maybe I could sell my season ticket seat and combine it with the $2,500 StubHub gift card to get the best seat available for the playoffs. That was my thought. So I just had to be patient, but it was still exciting knowing that my gift card was on its way. On January 14th, NBCSports.com posted an article with the headline, "Halfway through season, Sixers look a bit desperate in their search for identity." Because y'all, honestly, we had the talent, but there were issues and we were stagnant. And there was plenty of blame to go around. And I had made a Facebook post that read, "Halfway through the season and my Sixers are in turmoil. Is it Brett's coaching? Ben's unwillingness to shoot? Inconsistent aggressiveness to the rim? Embiid can't stay healthy? Al being a non-factor?" Referring to Al Horford. "No killer mentality? The bench? We need to figure this thing out. I cannot wait to see what this team looks like after the trade deadline." Y'all, around this time, Furkan Korkmaz was playing well. And I'd make posts like, "Oh my Furkin goodness," and "It's time for the Furculator." Furkan Korkmaz had the best name to make puns on social media. He was a very streaky shooter. I like that Furkan. The Persian Pistol, Furky from Turkey. Y'all, I could go on, but I won't. Anyway, Ben was also playing pretty well. And on January the 20th, Ben Simmons had a 34-point triple-double. And I posted on Facebook, "I hope this builds his confidence to consistently attack the rim moving forward." And at this point, y'all, we were only one game from the third seed and 2 games from second. We were contenders, and I thought we had a real chance to make a splash in the playoffs. On January 25th, we played the Los Angeles Lakers. It's always a big game against the Los Angeles Lakers. And I remember meeting up with my friends at Xfinity for some pregame drinks And just for the heck of it, while sitting there, I posted my tickets for sale for $500 just to see if I'd get any bites. And y'all, as I was leaving Xfinity to head over to the arena, they sold. Ka-ching! And at first I was bummed, like, damn, I won't be able to watch the game inside the arena. But then it hit me, and I was thrilled knowing that I was going to have some money deposited into my account, and I was still able to watch the game with all my friends over at Xfinity. I was just a parking lot away. That game against the Lakers did not disappoint. I was thinking, damn, Wells Fargo Center must be so lit right now. But at the same time, Xfinity was hype. And we won that game 108-91. And we won that game without Embiid, by the way. Ben had a 28-point, 10-rebound double-double. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think Ben lost a tooth during that game. Tobias had 29 points. And Al Horford, as much as I don't like him, came through, hitting a clutch mid-range bucket. LeBron scored 29 points. And with 7 minutes, 23 seconds left in the third quarter, LeBron had passed Kobe Bryant's scoring record, and he did it in Philly, Kobe's hometown. That night, Kobe tweeted, quote, "Continue to move the game forward at King James. Much respect, my brother," end quote. The next day, it was a Sunday. I was driving, listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, when the radio host, I can't remember his name, he was an older guy who filled in every now and then to host the weekend show, said, "I'm getting word that Kobe Bryant was in a really bad accident." And I remember thinking like, oh man, that's a shame. And then he said, wait, it's being reported that Kobe Bryant was involved in a fatal helicopter crash. And I remember driving to my daughter's house, and I was bawling my eyes out. I couldn't get myself together. And as more news came out, we all would learn that Kobe was in a fatal helicopter crash in Calabasas, California, alongside his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, baseball coach John Altobelli, his wife Carrie, his daughter Alyssa, Sarah Chester and her daughter Peyton, basketball coach Christina Mauser, and the pilot Ara Zobayan. This tragedy rocked Sixers fans, NBA fans, sports fans, parents, children, the entire world to its core. This news haunted me for days, and I cried many tears over a man I didn't know, whom I never met, but had left such an impact on me as a basketball fan. It was just so tragic, and it saturated every news station. It was all over social media. Man, may all of the victims who perished on that flight continue to rest in peace. My heart still goes out to those families. I still can't believe Kobe is gone, but he had left such a lasting impression on not only basketball, but on the world. Kobe Bryant may have played for the Lakers his entire career, but Philadelphia was his home. The following night, on January the 27th, there was already a scheduled season ticket holder event. Now, remember how I've said in pretty much every episode that these events are always fun and they're exciting? Well, y'all, this one was very somber. Like, everyone was still in shock with the news about Kobe. And I remember we had a moment of silence, and everyone couldn't help but talk about Kobe in disbelief about this tragic accident. My daughter Corey was with me, and we were able to get a photo with Mike Scott. As I approached him for our photo op, I said, Mike, you know I love me some you. He just threw his head back and laughed and then took some photos with us. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that Mike Scott was not an all-star or some kind of superstar, but I did appreciate the fact that he was a solid role piece. And Mike Scott was very physical. He was very athletic. And I felt he brought a sense of toughness to this team because, you know, it was conversation that our team was soft. And I kind of felt that way also. And I felt like Mike Scott wanted all the smoke all the time. And I don't know, I kind of like players like that. And it also helped that he was like tatted from head to toe. That just added to, you know, his whole vibe. So I loved what Mike Scott brought to the table because we definitely needed that at the time. And yes, I was part of the Mike Scott Beehive fan club. In fact, I still might be registered. But anyway, I'm actually going through photos right now, and I see here that Corey and I also got photos with Trey Burke and Furkan Korkmaz. So, yep, Furk and Burke. The following evening, that would put us at January 28th, there was a home Sixers game against the Golden State Warriors. Respectfully, the Sixers had a pregame moment of silence and a brief ceremony for Kobe, Gianna, and all of the victims. You could hear sniffles throughout the crowd. I had never experienced anything like this before. It was all so sad. 2020 was not off to a good start. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And be sure to tune in next week as we continue the story.